right, good morning, boys and girls. This is like the fifth time I've done this video because my technology is breaking. So we're gonna try this for the sixth time. So let's get over here onto page 729. Please make sure you're following along in your book since I have done this for 3 hours and have not gotten anything done. So if you could please bear with me and please follow along, that would be great. All right, drawing quadrilaterals. The essential question is, how can you draw quadrilaterals? So we unlock the problem. First of all, they ask you to connect. You have learned to classify quadrilaterals by the number of pairs of opposite sides that are parallel, by the number of pairs of sides of equal length, and by the number of right angles. So that's how you classify quadrilaterals. Also, you can draw quadrilaterals. So if you could please take out a ruler, you're going to need a ruler and we are going to connect the dots. So we're going to grab and draw a straight line from A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to A. And then it asks you to name the quadrilateral. And we know if we extend out our line segments, we will see it is a trapezoid. We are going to continue to draw a shape that does not belong. So here are 3 examples of quadrilaterals. And it says draw an example of a polygon that is not a quadrilateral. So pause the video and draw your shape. I'm going to draw my shape. So there's 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines. We know quadrilaterals are closed, 4-sided figures. I am going to make a 6-sided closed figure, which is a hexagon. Next, here are 3 examples of a square. We know square has 4 sides that are all the same with the 90-degree angles. Squares can be all different sizes. They want you to draw a quadrilateral that is not a square. So I'm going to draw my shape. Pause the video while you draw your shape. I am drawing a trapezoid, which has 1 set of parallel lines, and the other set of lines are not the same length, and that's, we know, part of the qualifications for a square. Here are 3 examples of a rectangle. They are quadrilaterals. Draw something that is not a rectangle, but that is a quadrilateral. So I will draw maybe a parallelogram. These are supposed to be all the same sizes. Parallelogram, all sides are parallel, they will never intersect, but it is not a rectangle because it doesn't have 90-degree angles. Rhombus. Draw a quadrilateral that is not a rhombus. So we know squares are rhombuses, but a rhombus can't be a square all the time because sometimes a rhombus has a degree, less than 90-degree angle, which is an acute angle, or it might have an angle that is larger than a 90-degree angle, which is an obtuse angle. So you have to draw something that is not a rhombus. So I'm just going to draw an upside down trapezoid from what we usually see. Hopefully you're pausing the video. That is a quadrilateral, but it is not a rhombus. It does not have all sides the same length that a rhombus has to have. So we're going to try our share and show for the 6th time. Let's see how that goes.
I really do love thinking about geometry, and so does my friend Amy, who actually has a riddle for us. Let's check it out and see if we can figure out the riddle. So Amy has 4 straws of equal length. Let's see if we can name the quadrilaterals she can make using these 4 straws. Well, in fact, we don't have to be abstract about it. We can actually do this for ourselves. Let me show you. All you need is a piece of paper to use as a little backing so you can actually see things nice, like these, nice, and you can see that. And then all you need are the 4 straws. So here are the 4 straws. So you have the 4 straws. They're all of equal length. So that's great. And then you can use something like fishing string. And if you take the fishing string out, you can string them through. And if you string them through really carefully, I've actually done this in advance, like one of these cooking shows, this is what we get. Now, check that out. They're all of equal length. And we see that since they're all of equal length, the opposite sides, both pairs, have to be parallel. So we actually get, well, what is this? Well, this is an example of a rhombus. It's also an example of a special case of a parallelogram. Because remember, a parallelogram just means that the 2 opposite sides are parallel. That has this property. But in addition, since all 4 straws have equal length, then we know that this, in fact, is also a special parallelogram known as a rhombus. But since we were never told about the angles, you can move it any way you want. And check this out. So you can move it any way you want. Whoop, 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 whoop. And you can even move it like this. And check out what you can make now. You actually get a beautiful square. So in fact, you can get a square. You could get a rhombus, which is also an example of a parallelogram. So what are the answers? What could you possibly get? Well, I can show it to you written down, but I think it's more fun just to see it like we did. But here it is written down. Since we have 4 equal length sides, we can get a square, we could get a rhombus, and also we can get a special parallelogram. Remember that a rhombus is an example of a parallelogram. So we can get a special parallelogram, we can get a rhombus, that's a special parallelogram, or if the angles all are right angles, we get a square. So those are the ones we can get, those are the types of quadrilaterals we can get when we have, in fact, all 4 sides equal. Now, remember what she did next. She took the 4 straws. So let's take a look at the second question that she did. So what she does next is Amy cuts one of the straws in half and uses the 2 halves and the other straws to make a quadrilateral. Let's see if we can name what she makes using these 4 straws. So let's check it out. She takes one of the straws, she cuts it right in half. So I'm going to cut it right in half. Whoops, flew off. That happens with straws. So now I have these 2 halves and the 2 long ones. And if I again use fishing line and string it through, you can try this for yourself. What kind of quadrilateral might you get? Well, you might get something beautiful like this. Look at that. It's a beautiful brand new rectangle. Because we see that the 2 opposite sides are parallel. These 2 are parallel and these 2 are parallel. And that's kind of cool. And all the angles are right angles. But check it out. Since the only constraint is the size of the straws, if I kind of give it a little nudge, all of a sudden, look what happens. It becomes a beautiful new parallelogram. That's right, a beautiful new parallelogram. And that's what we can get. We can get a parallelogram or a special case of a parallelogram, which is also known as a rectangle. So, given the new challenge, here's what we would see. We would see a parallelogram, definitely, because we have 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel, or a very special case of a parallelogram, which would be a rectangle. So in this case, when she takes one of the straws, cuts it in half, we are guaranteed to have a parallelogram, and we might even have a rectangle if all 4 angles are right angles. Really fun to think about geometry, and you can physically make the stuff and look at it. You know, this is the wonderful thing about studying geometry and math. It allows you to go outside and look at the world and see the physical world, all the shapes and things we see in a deeper, richer way. Have fun looking for parallelograms, rhombuses, squares, and rectangles in your life, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, so we are going to continue on with our lesson. I hope you enjoyed the share and the show. We are going to choose 4 endpoints and connect them to make a rectangle. So you're going to go over to page 731 and you're going to find, oops, you are going to find 4 end parts and we're going to connect them to make a rectangle. So there's my 2. To make a rectangle, you have to have 2 sides of the same length, and then the other 2 sides are the same length. A rectangle has 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel, 2 pairs of sides of equal length, and they also have to have 4 right angles. Now we are going to draw a quadrilateral that is described down in number 2 on the grid paper, and then we have to name what we drew. So right here it says 2 pairs of sides of equal length. So there's one side of equal length and then the other 2 sides of equal length. So you can see that you have 1 set, 2 sets, so there's 2 pairs of sides that are equal, so that would be a rectangle. The next one is 4 sides of equal length, so you could do a square. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So 3, 3, 3, and 3. So that would be a square, or you could have a rhombus, whichever one you decided to draw. On your own, your copy and solve using grid paper, which they provided. You have to draw a quadrilateral that is described and then name the quadrilateral. So exactly 1 pair of opposite sides that are parallel. Exactly, so that one says exactly 1 pair of opposite sides that are parallel. So exactly one set opposite sides that are parallel. So that means these ones can't be parallel because it only allows 1 side. We see these have 2 sides, okay? They have 2 pairs that are parallel. So this one can't be parallel, so that would be a trapezoid. 4 right angles. 4 right angles. So we have 4 right angles, so we could just do a square. 2 pairs of sides of equal length. 2 pairs of sides of equal length. That could be a square. It could be a rectangle. 7, draw a quadrilateral that doesn't belong and explain why. Well, that was my trapezoid. 1 pair of opposite sides that are parallel. So I already drew it for you so you could see it. Number 8, what could I draw here? I could absolutely draw another trapezoid, but make it go the other way. There you go. So you have 3 quadrilaterals that have 4 right angles, and the last one is a quadrilateral, and it has no right angles. So that's what makes those different. Those do not belong. So you go to the problem solving, making an argument. Jackie drew the shapes at the right. She said it's a rectangle because it has 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Well, there's 1 set that's parallel, 2 sets of parallel, but she said she drew a rectangle. There's these other 2 sides that makes a total of 6 sides, so we know that she is wrong. She drew a hexagon. Adam drew 3 quadrilaterals. Okay, 1 quadrilateral has no pairs of parallel sides. So you need to draw something that has no parallel sides, but it's a quadrilateral. So you might want to draw something that kind of goes something like this. No parallel sides. It's a trapezoid. Then you could actually draw a trapezoid that has parallel sides. So one quadrilateral with one pair of opposite sides that are parallel. So that could be this one that has the second part, one pair, opposite sides that are parallel. And the last one has to have two pair of opposite sides. So maybe you want to draw a rectangle. Two pairs, opposite sides, parallel. So hopefully you have been pausing this and drawing as we go. So here's our, Amy has 4 straws of equal length. Name all the quadrilaterals that she can use using the straws. We just did this in the Sharon's show, so we know she could do a square, she could do a rhombus, she could cut that and do a rectangle, and she could also do a trapezoid. So we have 4 straws of equal length. Name all the quadrilaterals that can be used. Next we have, I'm sorry, 4 straws that are, yeah. Amy then cuts the 1 straw in half. That's where she gets the rectangle that he did in the video. Once he cut it, which was the second part. Number 12, Jordan drew one side of a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Draw the other 3 sides to complete Jordan's quadrilateral. All right, so we have 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. So let's draw the first parallel. There's the first parallel. And then we can draw the other parallel. These were supposed to be all like the same length. There you go. So she has a quadrilateral. If you would please pause the video and go on and do your practice and homework and your lesson check, then come back and I will give you your answer. All right, so pause it and come right back. All right, if you are back, number 2, only 1 pair of opposite sides that are parallel. That would be a trapezoid. Number 3, draw a quadrilateral that does not belong. Hopefully you see that you could draw a trapezoid that has only 1 pair of opposite sides that are parallel, unlike the other ones that have all sides that are parallel. So they're parallelograms, they're squares, they're rectangles. So the one I did was a trapezoid so that it didn't have 4 sides, 2 that were parallel, 2 that were parallel. Okay, problem solving. Okay, hopefully you have a rectangle or a square. Draw a quadrilateral that is not a rectangle. It's probably a trapezoid. Okay, lesson check. Number 1, Chloe. Hopefully you have maybe a rectangle, a square, a rhombus, or a trapezoid. Number 2, about Mike. Possible answer might be rectangle, square, rhombus, or trapezoid. Your spiral review. Number 3 is a square. Number 4 is perpendicular and intersecting. Hopefully you remember about lines. Number 5 would be 14 units. And then number 6 is 15 square units. Okay, the perimeter is the distance around. The area is the area that's inside. And we will do more on that at a later date. I hope this video actually works when I check it. So you guys have a great day, and I hope to see you all soon. Take care.